My 29-year-old brother, 26, has a significant disability and requires essential 24/7 care. As long as I can remember, my parents said that I would take care of him when they could no longer, and for most of my life I agreed. Then I got a scholarship, went to college and grad school, met my French husband, and moved to Europe. Now I'm living a great life in France until my parents called on Sunday. Apparently they're ready to retire, and they think my husband and I should move to the States, into their house, and care for my brother. First, this isn't even vaguely realistic financially, but worse, I just don't want to. I wish I could say that I love my brother, but I'm not sure that I do. He's just this great sadness and burden in my life. I don't want to be his caretaker. I know other people with disabled siblings feel differently, but I don't really. His needs took my childhood. I don't want them to take my adult life. Especially since he probably doesn't even know who the heck I am. There's nothing there to have a relationship with. I didn't say that to my parents. Just that I wasn't coming home. They say I'm the idiot and will barely speak to me. They say that I promised, but do I have to give up this life for a promise I made as a young child? So am I the idiot? I feel so guilty because he is my brother. They are my parents, and I owe them. It's an idiotic move to abandon them. So they're ready to retire and live the rest of their lives away from their child, and they expect that you can give up your whole life and source of income to take care of him? If they can't care for him, I'm sure there are many options for them. Options they should have thought about a long time ago. You are not responsible for their child. You're not the idiot. Hon, your brother is not your responsibility. And no, your parents cannot hold you to a promise you made as a child. You can still be supportive in helping them find care for your brother, though. You don't have to go over or send money. Just be supportive and try to stop seeing your brother as a burden. Have some grace and empathy for him. I disagree. That's a pretty self-righteous thing to say. The OP has every right to feel however she feels. This was her childhood and experience. Parentification is abuse. You deserve to have your own life. You deserve your own happiness. Guilting you into caring for your severely disabled brother is not fair of your parents. They really need to cut the guilt. A child can't promise things. Your parents' plan is ridiculously selfish nonsense. Everyone is the idiot here. This is a hard situation. Your parents have unrealistic expectations. But you allowed it to go on as an adult. Anytime you could have said something, honestly, all of you should have been discussing this way before now. There are government agencies in the US that provide funding and placement, but the waiting list can be years long. I suggest you speak to your parents now. Your parents are probably nearly retirement age, and now you've left them scrambling to find other plans for your brother alone. Oh Lord, not our problem. This is on the parents for trying to shove their responsibilities off on their child. They're retiring, not dying. Do they think that they get to retire from being this guy's parent? Seriously though, OP, not the idiot and don't do it. Your marriage will fall apart, and your life will follow. My 37-year-old sister, who is 29, is getting married in June. I have 2 daughters, one neurotypical pre-tween, and one high-needs nonverbal autistic daughter who is younger. My sister made a rule about her wedding with no kids aged 5 and under, which I think was a polite way of excluding my disabled child. My wife or I would have immediately taken her outside if she had a meltdown. As my nephew, who is also neurotypical, just made the cut and will get to go, there are only 2 other children under age 5 in the family with no known disabilities yet. I understand her wedding is her choice, but I'm not okay with including one of my daughters but not the other. The problem is my older daughter really wanted to go. She's a real girly girl who loves pretty dresses, princesses, fairies, and yes, brides too. She was excited to see her aunt in a bridal gown. The last wedding she went to, she was too young to remember. Since it's my sister's wedding, I don't feel right missing it, so we're going without the girls, and my in-laws will watch them that night. She's upset she doesn't get to go, and my sister says I'm fostering resentment. But I think I'm teaching my daughter that it's not okay to exclude family due to a disability. The way I see it, it's my sister who created this situation, not me. Am I the idiot? You're reading too much into this because you're sensitive about your kid. However, it sounds like sis made a pretty standard American wedding request for no smaller kids, because kids under age 5 are notorious for being disruptive, which, by your own admission, is likely to happen with your daughter. I understand that you must feel incredibly defensive on your daughter's behalf, but your sister isn't discriminating against your child, who you admit is likely to have a meltdown during a significant event. She's trying to save everyone, including your special needs daughter, from an incredibly uncomfortable afternoon. You are the idiot. Learn to accept boundaries graciously and teach the same to your kids. It's an essential life skill. Thank you for saying this. It is perfectly okay for hosts to decide not to tempt fate in such a situation. OP says that they would take the daughter outside when they need to, but that ignores the initial disruption, time taken to do so, etc. It's too easy to guilt couples for thinking of all guests, or even just wanting a smooth ceremony or reception by playing the family card exclusion card. OP needs to accept that there will naturally be difficulties ahead and situations where their daughter will not be comfortable. Let's not forget that OP isn't teaching his oldest daughter that it's not okay to exclude disabled family, but is actually teaching her that when her disabled sibling can't participate due to very real and reasonable limitations, she will also be punished. This will only drive a wedge between his daughters and between his oldest daughter and himself. OP, you are the idiot, and your older neurotypical daughter will realize more and more as she gets older that you favor your younger daughter because of her issues. She will become resentful as you continue to prioritize her sister's needs over her own. This is a common trap that families with a child with disabilities fall into. It's important to recognize and do better. We all know how and where this will end in 20 to 30 years. Eldest daughter, as we get older, we may not be able to take care of your sibling anymore. It will be your responsibility to step up and take care of her. What do you mean now? What do you mean she ruins every event in your life? The OP means well, but they need some perspective. It may be helpful to talk to a professional about navigating these difficult situations before they lead to the predicted outcome. Recently, my friend Anthony and his wife Carly went through a nasty divorce. They had a child together about 2 years ago, but things just weren't working between them. 1.5 months after the baby's birth, there were some issues with attraction. Anthony felt that their relationship was becoming monotonous, and he became interested in pursuing other relationships. He ended up finding a spark with a coworker who is now his girlfriend, and the whole situation was a mess. Carly did receive child support and alimony, but there were also issues with how Anthony's family structured their trust, which resulted in her losing out on a lot. Even now, she's not below the poverty line, but it's still a difficult situation. I didn't expect to see much of Carly since she is my friend's ex-wife and we were not particularly close. However, my girlfriend has been spending time with her together, and commiserating with her for some reason. Their conflict, which I've deliberately kept away from, is bleeding into my life too. My girlfriend keeps bringing up how unfair what my friend did was, how he's barely paying anything while they struggle, etc., etc. Despite me saying that it's none of our business repeatedly. She's constantly passive-aggressive towards Anthony even though he hasn't done anything to her. She's even brought Carly over while Anthony and I were hanging out, saying she's her friend and she's allowed to have guests. As you can guess, this has led to some heated arguments. She's glad to know he's having fun eating edibles and playing video games with children. Yes, she even referred to our other friends and me as children to our faces. We're both 22, while she's exhausted taking care of their child alone, etc. Now keep in mind, this is my house. My parents gifted me this condo when I graduated, and I paid all the utility bills. I'm letting my girlfriend stay here because her roommate didn't want to renew the lease. She's trying to frame this like I'm not letting her see her friends, which is absurd. She's clearly 100% in the wrong here, right? Am I the idiot? Or is she for trying to bring this woman into our home? So your friend dumped his wife when life got monotonous after the birth of his child, but he fought hard to ensure that she and his child got the minimum he had to pay them. Your girlfriend thought that this stunk, and isn't afraid to say so, while you go hang out with your bro. You are the idiot. Find better friends and learn how to stand up for what's right from your girlfriend. He lasted a whole 1.5 months after his child was born. LMAO, this is so predictable. Mom didn't lose all the baby weight. Dad doesn't want to be a dad. Dad straight up cheats. Dude's friend thinks that this is all fine. OP is just as spoiled as his friend. What do you expect? OP's 22. Emphasizing my condo, which was gifted to him by mommy and daddy, pays all the utility bills though, like Xbox Live, but in his mind, it's quite an achievement. OP, some people can experience empathy for others. Your girlfriend empathizes with what your friend has done to her and to his own child, and she's upset about it. LOL, monotonous at 22? How much life has this man lived? Maybe he should have thought about that before marrying and having a child. So ridiculous. OP's friend is a cheater and a deadbeat father. The fact that OP is defending his friend's poor morals and behavior is disgusting, and should be enough red flags for his girlfriend to dump him and dodge a bullet. A bullet. My kid is very book smart. However, sometimes he doesn't always make good decisions, so his mom or I will help him out. My ex has custody of him, and I get to see him whenever he has time, usually every weekend. I've been saving money to take him out for dinner to a steakhouse he loves. This isn't something we can do all the time. Unlike so many people in this subreddit, I'm not a millionaire tech guy, and I've never received an inheritance. So for me, spending this much money on a meal is a sacrifice, but he's worth it. I had spoken with his mom, so she knew the plan. I had spoken with him, and he was excited about going there for his birthday. I went to pick him up at his mom's and stepdad's house, and when I got there I went in because we're all friendly that way. He was finishing 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a bowl of tomato soup. I asked why he was eating, since he knew we had dinner reservations. He said he was hungry, so his mom made him food. After we left, I asked him if he was still hungry, and he said he was stuffed. So I called the restaurant and canceled the reservation. We went to see a movie instead. He had room for soda and popcorn. When I took him home, his mom asked how the dinner was, and I told her we had changed plans. Now she's upset with me because I didn't follow through on taking him out like I said I would. But I think I made the right decision. Not the idiot. Your ex sabotaged your plans. She can take him to the steakhouse the next time he's hungry. What were you supposed to do? Make your kid sick? Sounds like you still had fun at the movies. Your ex is playing games, friend. Totally agree she sabotaged their plans. Most parents would have said no to their kid, that they're going out to eat soon. So just have a piece of fruit. Instead, she made 2 sandwiches and soup. That's more than I would have for a normal meal. Dude, what? If I read correctly, it isn't even the kid who's upset, but his mother on his behalf? What did she even expect? Should you have force-fed him or something? Tsk. You could take him to that restaurant some other time and he'd probably be much happier about it, when he's hungry. That's exactly why she's upset. She intentionally fed the kid a full meal right before dinner. Presumably, she wanted OP to either argue with her about it, or reprimand the kid for making bad choices, or prove he couldn't give the kid a good time on his birthday. Last weekend, my wife and I left town to attend a wedding. We left our nearly adult son at home and permitted him to have a small party. We told him not to allow too many people and not let it get out of control. On the night of the party, we checked our security cameras a few times, and everything looked fine with no more than 40 guests. However, on the drive home, my wife received a call from a parent of a girl who had been at the party. The girl had admitted that she had engaged in illegal activities. At the party, it was mentioned that there was illegal activity going on, and that many others at the party were involved as well. However, the person speaking did not reveal who had supplied the illegal substances. During the drive home, my wife spent the rest of the time looking through the footage from that night, specifically to see who had entered the party. She recognized almost all of the kids and did not see anyone who appeared to be older than a high school student. However, she did notice one boy who immediately raised her suspicions. He was a longtime friend of our son, but had been caught by another boy's parents last year smoking in their backyard. He has a history of getting into trouble, and his father is currently in prison. Given his family's financial situation, it would make sense if he was selling drugs to make money for himself. Unfortunately, we only had 2 cameras inside the house, so they were not able to capture everything. However, it was clear that the boy spent most of the night in the kitchen and was approached by multiple people, including a girl. When we arrived home, we informed our son about the phone call. After a lengthy discussion, he admitted to being involved but claimed he was not interested in participating and felt uncomfortable with it. He did not know how to make it stop. When we asked who had brought the illegal substances, he said he did not know. When we specifically asked about the boy we suspected, he denied it, but his body language suggested he was lying. My wife contacted many of the parents of the kids who were at the party and also informed the high school about the situation. When the school inquired, we told them about our suspicions regarding the boy, but we were not certain. Apparently, the school met with the boy to discuss our allegations and also contacted his guardian, his great-grandmother. Yesterday, she came to our home and asked us why we had singled out her grandson and wanted to know if we had any evidence. We explained that we only had suspicions. She became angry with us for accusing her grandson without any evidence and for involving the school. She accused us of profiling him based on his family and background. My wife does not believe we did anything wrong, but I have my doubts. The school is conducting interviews with the kids who were at the party, though it seems that the boy is at risk of being kicked off the soccer team and possibly expelled depending on the outcome. We were only trying to provide the best information we could to the parents and the school in order to protect their children. We feel responsible for allowing this to happen in our home. It is frustrating that we are being blamed for allowing our son to throw a party while we were not home and for assuming that teenagers would not get into trouble. Additionally, it was wrong of us to randomly accuse this particular boy. We should have investigated further before making any accusations. Who were all the rich white kids at the party? One of Malibu Stacy's older brothers hooked her up before the party, and the kid with money footed the bill. This was all planned. The girl who got busted was in on it, and your son was in on it too. Agree? I know it wasn't the point, but 40+ teenagers is a small party. A small party is not 40+ kids. And of course, it being unsupervised with your permission is a perfect storm. You could be seriously ruining several kids' lives by calling the school. Why not just turn yourselves in to the police for contributing to the delinquency of minors? You were trying to be the cool dad and failed miserably. You should be dealing with the consequences of your bad judgment instead of looking for a scapegoat. Congratulations, you guys made this poor boy's already hard life even harder.